Coming to you live from San Francisco, it's the 10-Point Podcast. My name is Bruce, and it's a well-known fact, Sonny Jim, that there's a secret society of the three wealthiest people in the world, known as the 10-Point Podcast, who run everything in the world,
none of them
including the podcasts, and they meet once weekly on the internet. So who's in this 10-Point Podcast, you ask? First, hey, Paisan, you screw up one more time, I'm going to kick your spaghetti-bending butt back to Milan. It's Chris.
Hello. I attempted to make my hole.
And secondly, look at the size of that boy's head. It's like an orange on a toothpick. That's a virtual planetoid. It has its own weather system. Oh, he'll be crying himself to sleep tonight on his huge pillow. It's Andy.
Let's get pished.
Let's get pished. We are the 10-Point Podcast. You can find us wherever you find podcasts. Every single podcast app in the land, in all the lands, all around the planetoid. And you can find us on YouTube, where you can find, more often than not, video versions of the podcasts, recorded live to tape when we do them, one take only. All edit.
Fingers crossed one of us makes it through the entire
episode.
episode.
I haven't checked the final edit of the last episode, but Chris did disappear at one point.
He's vanished.
Oh, laptop just decided to switch itself off.
That's what I mean. It's a true one-take podcast. People don't think of this. People think this is rehearsed and scripted.
I think that's...
We don't even know what each other are going to say.
No, we don't. No. I think that's the only podcast we've done where it hasn't been all three of us. We once did a news podcast that, let's say, Chris wasn't exactly there for, but he was on the podcast.
I remember that.
He made it all the way through. That one we finished with this meeting. 10pointpodcast.com for all your 10-Point Podcast stuff and that and things.
I'm also looking for a dentist if there's any dentists listen.
I think we all are.
Somewhere in the UK that can do something before March, apparently.
Exactly. Before March, if you've got to email us, I'll be there.
Email at 10pointpodcast.com, email address is there. What have you been watching in the last week before we get on to this week's podcast? Andy, what have you seen in the last week?
I did a double bill. First time I've done it at the cinema for a long time. Went and watched Moonfall, the new Roland Emmerich film. Surprisingly good. Like, I went into it going, this is going to be shit. And I started watching it going, this is shit. Then by about 20 minutes in, I'm like, all right, I'm in now. I'm hooked. Yeah. This is believable. I could believe this shit. And then by the end of the film, I was rooting for everybody. I was like, fucking hell, what a film. I did not expect it.
They come around so rarely enough that I'm quite excited to actually see it's the end of the world for no reason. How are we not going to self-destruct here? I quite enjoy that film every decade or whatever it is.
I'm not a scientist by any means. However, they were throwing some numbers and some stats at which I was like, all right, I believe that. Yep, 100% they could have done that. Like, they tried to explain their over-the-top bullshit. Like when Vin Diesel jumps off a car and manages to survive. They don't explain that shit. Moonfall tries to explain it, and I was like, I'm happy with their explanation. I'm believing that shit.
You just need enough, as long as it's like, right, I can see how that would happen, and that explains why. Yeah, that's all you ask, isn't it?
That's it. So yeah, it's surprisingly good. It's definitely a thumbs up. It's not the best, but it's definitely worth a watch.
So that was movie one of your double bill, was it?
And then I went straight into, I had a 5-minute pee break. I went straight into Jackass.
Oh, yes, okay.
And my review of that film is, I did not know the penis could do as many things as it can. It blew my mind. There's a lot of penis in this film, a lot.
Well, there's a lot in the third one. I remember because they were experimenting with the slow motion camera in the third one. And
that's
right.
It's
just windmilling.
I feel like, I mean, I don't think you can get through 20 minutes in a Jackass film without someone getting the clothes off, which I suppose, I think the state of mind they have is, this is a funny thing we're doing. It'll be even funnier if at least one person has no clothes on while it's happening.
Yeah.
It seems to be the line of thinking on every stunt.
But, they've got a new cast in it, which a couple of them annoy me. They're not great. Poopies, he's my favourite. I love Poopies. So there's a guy called Poopies, he's pretty good. The rest of them are they're kind of forced, whereas he doesn't seem forced. He just seems like he's part of the gang.
Right.
The rest of them seem like they're a bit forced, and you can tell they've been hit by woke culture as well. There's a lot more diversity, shall we say.
Yeah.
But Steve-O and all that are still in it, and it's brilliant.
I saw maybe, 3/4 of the main original crew are still there. I saw a couple obviously can't be involved and a couple that weren't involved. I saw that.
Yeah.
But I've heard it's fine. I heard that
Yes.
it's not a. We've had some recent reboots, or whatever you want to call it, sequel reboot things that have happened, and they've not been worth your time and effort. Apparently, Jackass is. If you like the originals, it's okay.
If you're into penises, I'm telling you, it'll blow your mind what you can do with a penis.
I believe a lot of people are, Andy. So they might, they might have quite a lot of fan base. What about you, Chris? What have you watched in the last week?
Well, based on Andrew's recommendation last week, I smashed in Murderville.
I've watched two episodes of it, I think.
I ran through the whole thing. I'm texting Andrew going, "Oh, this episode's great." And he's like, "I've only seen the first episode."
I recommended it off at one episode.
Conan O'Brien one was really good. It was good. I think that was a good way to start it. Marshawn Lynch in the second episode, I think he is more fun than Conan O'Brien is. Like, he's involved, whereas Conan O'Brien was a bit like, I'm landed in here. But that's as far as I've only watched the first two. Although the next one
is Kumail Nanjiani and the Ken Jeong episodes are brilliant.
Kamal is brilliant. Yeah.
It's
fucking hilarious.
I've seen the 1 30-second or whatever preview of next time just has Will Arnett in tears laughing. Like, they're not even hiding the fact that he's
it's so funny. That's what makes it brilliant, because when he starts going, then the slave starts going, then the person they're acting with starts going, and it's just brilliant. And like, off the back of watching that, I've started watching the British version of Murder and Successful, and it's even better.
Oh, it's better
because there's one episode I've just watched it quite recently. They do it with a celeb lookalike, so there's like a Gordon Ramsay is the chief of police, and it is an absolute banger of what's the point, like a parody of him.
Right. Okay.
But it's just little things, because there's a celeb, I think I'll spoil a little bit, called Louis Smith. I think he's an athlete or something like that.
Yes, yeah.
One of the ones is he's talking to Kim Kardashian, and she's like, "Oh, you like my sister? Give me a kiss." And he's like, "Okay." And he kind of gives her a little peck. And then I think the guy's called Tom Davis. It's like, maybe you should stop kissing the fucking celebrities, and starts pissing himself laughing because he's going rogue and kissing the people. So it's so funny. I'd recommend watching that. I'm halfway through season 2 now.
Right, okay. Yeah, the American one. I've very much enjoyed it so far, and I don't know if the British one's the same, but I find myself full on Bailey. It's definitely not him. It's definitely.
I was definitely playing along. Yeah.
I got the Conan O'Brien one. I solved that. I didn't get Marshawn Lynch. I whiffed on that one there. I was way wrong on that one. But they're the only two I've done so far. Anything else for you this week, Chris?
No, just I've been watching that.
I've been all TV for me this week as well. So I've up to date, apart from the most recent episode of Pam and Tommy, talking of penises, or talking penises if you've got that far in Pam and Tommy. But I'm still not exactly sure if I like Pam and Tommy. I'm so deep into it. I'll keep going. I'm not sure what it's for. I don't know. Other than maybe being, let's salvage Pamela Anderson's career / character. That's the only reason I can see why this might exist, which is it's a true story and Pamela Anderson was hard done by, so we'll try and make her look better. But other than that, I'm like, it's good. Everyone's pretty good in it. It's well made. It's kind of funny, but it's all right. But so far, I'm going to keep watching. But I can't believe no one else has mentioned that the Book of Boba Fett has now culminated with the finale. Chris,
I'll tell you what, right?
You've seen it. Go on.
Spoiler filled, right?
Spoiler of everything Star Wars here.
I pretty much, like, we all predicted what was going to happen. I did not predict it would happen pretty much the next episode. Like, they spunked their load straight off.
It feels like they've just been like, oh, we've got a great ending to the season of Mando. Luke Skywalker, brilliant. He can take Grogu away and train him to be a Jedi, brilliant. And then like, right, okay, what are we going to do for season 3? We've given away everyone's favourite characters not in the show anymore. Damn it. We'll try and get him back then. So there's like, right, 2 episodes, we'll just write him, and he comes back, and yeah, he's back. It's like, okay.
Blow my mind.
We could do a whole episode on me complaining about Boba Fett here. But one thing I need to get off my chest, I think I hate the mods. Like, I think I hate them.
Yeah. 100%. That is, the internet is saying that. People loved the last episode except from the mods. It's like they're grannies and scooters.
When you find out the names are like Skarg and Drash or something like that, it's like you've just picked those names for yourself, and it's like they're horrific. You're rubbish. You've spent all your, but you can't afford water because you're making yourself into a robot for some reason, that doesn't seem to help you at all, and spending
Still
this
shoot like shit.
making these really slow mopeds really shiny and all that sort of stuff. And it's I despise everything about them, and I was well and truly hoping they'd be the cannon fodder for the finale. And
I was quite disappointed with the lack of what's it called, Bane.
Cad Bane. Yeah.
Oh no, it was perfect.
I didn't really know much about him, but he looked like
if
a
you watch-
character I can get behind.
He basically he kills a lot of clones, and it's nice to see he's killed by a clone.
Right.
It's actually, people are actually happy how he died. He trained Boba Fett. Boba Fett became better, and he kind of got his revenge because he killed a lot of clones.
I kind of want more of Cad Bane, but I think that is still possible. So I'm
Yes.
sad that he's gone and there's no more of him, but there might be more of him.
But what an ending! Little baby Yoda just being a dick and wanting to go fast. His wee ball.
Oh, the last
Hammer on the
Oh,
window.
sorry.
It's like the whole episode goes like, okay, all right, we're back here. Right, Boba has no idea what he's doing. I don't know why he's got himself like, oh, Grogu's back. Oh, you're stuck, are you? Why didn't you go to your palace that you could have gone to, but you didn't want to go there for some reason? Oh, best Grogu and Mando are doing stuff. It's up and down, and in the finale, the whole final scene is, oh my god, Grogu's amazing. I love him, and I want more of this show. And it's
It just works.
it works.
It just works.
It was not. It did not salvage the character or even create the character of Boba Fett. This program.
Nope, not at all. But it made Mando a badass.
Yes.
I
Now,
want
what's
to see
the-
more of Fennec Shand. She's a
Yeah.
badass.
She's a badass, but
she's
knee rockets.
from the animated stuff. Knee Rocket.
Oh, no, fuck it.
Fucking knee rockets. That's
I
the
think
future
that's
right
It's
there.
just like Capoeira and Dad shooting.
I was like, it just random stuff. Oh yeah, 3/4 of the way to the fight, we've both got jetpacks. Let's fly around for a bit. But you could have just flown off at the beginning. I don't understand.
I think Andy touched this like 3 episodes into like Boba Fett. Is you can see his teeth from the other end of Mos Esper.
Oh, it's like worse than my tooth. It's so white.
And then I still don't know why we spent. I enjoyed half of it. I don't know why we spent 4 hours hanging out with Tuscans for them just to get killed off screen and then never to be mentioned again, or to be mentioned as, oh yeah, actually, ooh, it was us that killed them. Yes, we knew it was you that killed them. Like it's it was up and down. Let's say that. I have a lot of complaints after the finale, which I always feel like I do with these Disney Plus shows. The finale, I'm always like, why? And I'm not like
Peacemaker. Watch Peacemaker.
Right.
Oh,
I'll be getting there soon. Right, we better crack on. We've wasted so much time not even on to the podcast. So, point number 1 on the podcast this week is, what is the point? The point this week is a 1993 romantic comedy, So I Married an Axe Murderer, brought to us by TriStar Pictures, that we've done several times before. Look Who's Talking, Total Recall, Starship Troopers, Idle Hands, which gets its weekly shout out, Silent Hill, and District 9. We do more for Idle Hands than anyone has in history. The
what a
film,
film though.
So I Married an Axe Murderer, written by Robbie Fox, who has written barely anything, and this is what he has written in terms of, he did a couple of shorts and all stuff, but feature films, a film called Shooting Elizabeth in 1992, Jeff Goldblum and Mimi Rogers. Then he wrote this for 1993. Then he wrote In the Army Now, so one for Andy, In the Army Now from 1994, Pauly Shore and Laurie Petty. Sounds like your kind of thing.
I think I've seen that.
So that's 92, 93, 94. The next writing credit he has, 2008, where he created a TV show that lasted 1 episode. And it got cancelled. And the next thing he wrote was in 2012, a film called Playing for Keeps with Gerard Butler and Jessica Biel. And then the last thing he wrote was Granddaddy Daycare from 2019, something starring Danny Trejo, where he seems to set up a daycare centre for pensioners in his house or something like that. And that's, yeah, he's written about 5 things that are about 30 years apart, and I don't know what this bizarre credits he has, but that's who Robbie Fox is. However, the film was rewritten by Mike Myers and Neil Mullarkey. Neil Mullarkey you'll recognise from everything that Mike Myers has ever in. He's the kind of straight-laced kind of British guy. He famously was the one that did the Austin Powers' This Is the Stuff You Came Into Prison With, a la Blues Brothers. With
Right.
made penis enlarger. That's Neil Mullarkey. And he shows up at everything Mike Myers does. They co-rewrote the script to So I Married an Axe Murderer, but Robbie Fox refused to take the story by and screenplay co-written by credits. And then the Writers Guild ruled in his favour, so he remained the sole writer of the film, despite the fact that 2 other people rewrote the film and changed a whole bunch of stuff about it. So that's who wrote the film. Directed by Thomas Schlam. I think how you say it. Schlamme, Thomas Schlam. It was his second feature film. Yes. His second feature film. He mostly did TV shows, sitcoms, and stand-up specials, kind of prior and around this time. He then went on to direct 14 episodes of The West Wing, 4 episodes of Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, which is a show I liked. That's a large percentage of the episodes, didn't last very long. And he did 6 episodes of The Americans, so he's more of a TV director. He didn't do much in the way of feature films before or after this. So I Married an Axe Murderer stars as Charlie McKenzie, Mike Myers, who was on Saturday Night Live and then made it big in movies due to Wayne's World, a movie he made spinning off from a character he did on Saturday Night Live. He was then, off the back of the success of that, made a sequel, but before that made this. He was offered the script and liked it and then went on to change a bunch of things about it. Afterwards, he made Austin Powers, was in Shrek, and then The Love Guru, which derailed his career completely. And he did parts and things ever since and does what he wants when he wants, like being on The Gong Show as somebody else for about 3 seasons of it and all that sort of stuff. However, he has an upcoming Netflix project that is now untitled. It's now like Untitled Mike Myers Project. The original title for it was The Pentaverate, which is what I paraphrased for the intro to the podcast there, where his dad in Some Married an Axe Murderer rants about the people who actually rule the world. He's making a film about the Pentaverate for Netflix, which I thought was a strange current tie-in to a film that
he's back to being Dr. Evil in the Super Bowl as well this weekend.
Oh, is he in something with the Super Bowl, is he? Okay, okay.
Being Dr. Evil again.
Well, it is just about his best character. It's hard to find him there. Co-starring with Mike Myers as Harriet is Nancy Travis. Made it famous in 3 Men and a Baby / Little Lady, and was in The Vanishing prior to being in this. And then she made Greedy afterwards, another film she seems to be famous for that I've never heard of. And then since then was in the Duckman cartoons, which I recognise Duckman, but I've never seen any of. She was then in TV shows Almost Perfect, Becker, and then Last Man Standing up until last year. She's done hundreds of episodes of TV since then, but this was kind of the end of the peak of her movie career. Was So I Married an Axe Murderer. The film, made on a budget of $20 million, it allegedly went over. There were some production problems. Not entirely Mike Myers' problem, but he was definitely involved with some of the problems.
I was going to say, it's always Mike Myers.
I think the more he wanted to have control, the more he took control, and it caused some problems. It opened in the US, so $20 million budget, opened in the US for $3.5 million. Final US gross was just $11.5 million. Worldwide gross, once again, I do not know. However, it got one, which I will come to in a little bit. Released 30th of July 1993 meant that it was right around the time of kind of the late awards season of 93. So 1994 would have been its awards year, but it received exactly 0 nominations for any award ever in history, this film.
What? That's going to be a 10-point podcast first.
It is the first one, or at least we're still one or 2 or 3 of them at least, at most, that have had no nominations. So like I say, 94 is probably the year it would have been nominated for things. Best picture that year was Schindler's List. Worst picture that year was Indecent Proposal. MTV Movie Award for Best Movie was Menace to Society and an Upset. And then, because we didn't really cover it this way, the 1994 Saturn Awards, the winners of the big awards there, Jurassic Park, Nightmare Before Christmas, and then Evil Dead 3 Army of Darkness. They won the 3 categories of horror, fantasy, and sci-fi.
That's a night in right there.
That's a triple bill for you there. So that's the kind of era the film came out. Synopsis for So I Married an Axe Murderer by a new contributor. The synopsis written by the Monkey King.
Yes!
I
love the Monkey King.
It was his real name or not. Charlie McKenzie is a dedicated San Francisco cocktails poet whose poems concern his numerous failed relationships, which have all ended because of some weird, inexcusable paranoia. His mother, May, and best friend, Tony, had only criticised him for his wrongdoings, but he believes he very well may have found the perfect woman in Harriet, a meat butcher with a heart of gold. But Charlie begins suspecting something about Harriet that may not be so perfect. Who picked? It was me. Have I seen it before? I think on this viewing I realised I have seen the entire thing before, but I'd forgotten massive chunks of it. Had anybody else seen it before?
I'd seen one scene, and that's because of a game called Seen It. And one of the questions is about that bit behind me.
The move, was it? Right.
Yeah.
And what about you, Andy? You seen it before?
I've definitely seen this.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. What channel would we have seen it on? My guess is Channel 5. I feel like it would be...
Oh, aye.
when Mike Myers is popular, they can't afford a good one of his films, like a popular Mike Myers film, so we'll stick this one on. I felt like a Channel 5 movie to me.
See, I just remember this film like my dad always was Mike Myers Scottish, Mike Myers with the heat stuff. And I always wondered where he got it from, and then later on I found out that's where he got it from. We watched this film. Just, oi, heat!
It's like a planetoid. Yes. Which version did we watch? We all watched the same version, which was the standard US/home video version. That is specific because the US TV broadcast one, in Joe Vicky Johnson's story at the prison, he changes the word bitch to girlfriend, and you don't see Mike Myers' arse when his towel falls off. That's the changes they do for the TV in America. However, the UK cinema release is 1 minute shorter, because they cut the entire Phil Hartman prison story out, so that it would get a 12 rating. If that had been left in, this would have been a 15. But they cut out his entire, a little monologue, his scene that he's in the film to give. To get a 12 rating. So the UK cinema was 1 minute shorter had you got to see this at the movies. I don't know about UK TV broadcasts beyond that. I don't know if they use the American one or the usual cinema release. On to point 2 then. Point 2 is the high points, the best bits and things of the film. I'll just lead off with my first one, which is immediately his Scottish dad is my first high point.
Like that is like when you picked this film, I was like, "Is this the one?" It's like, it is the one. It's just basically, it's like an early fat bastard. He's brilliant.
It's this into Fat Bastard into Shrek. Like it's the same voice. Through.
When you started rattling off about Colonel Sanders. Speaking of that guy Tory, I thought that was his brother. The way he just randomly sits there.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until his mum tried to like rape him. I was just like, wait, that's a bit weird.
Yeah. Because he's introduced as being I am an undercover policeman in the previous scene, but it's never fully laid out that he's just his pal. And then, like, say he's there when Mike Myers arrives, because he arrives on his own, doesn't he, Charlie?
And like he calls him Uncle Charlie, and I thought, that's his dad.
Yeah.
But like his family's never mentioned, whether it's a brother or a sister or what. It's just never mentioned. You're just like, who is he?
There's a lot of that in this film that I found.
I'm assuming that he is his wee brother, is what I would guess. I think. Like I think
Charlie calls him Uncle Charlie.
Does he?
Yeah,
I'm sure he does. I'm with Chris on this because I didn't know what the relation was. It was well all over the shop.
Grandson of a sister or a brother.
Like I totally thought Tony was his dad until his mum tried to kiss him, and I was like, oh, that's not how we do it back here in Scotland. So. No, exactly, no. But yeah, the heat thing, like Andy says, that essentially is I don't know, is it a low key cultural thing for Scottish people?
I think so, because I discussed this with Chantel, and like, yeah, that is it. Definitely. Because she's like, oh no, my dad used to always just call me bugger lugs and move it away, and I was like, oh no, it was always heat away.
But I know Andy will relate to this. Seeing an old Scottish gentleman sitting drinking export.
Duff memories.
Shout out to Duff. Yeah.
Big Duff.
Yes, export. It is a generational drink there in Scotland. It's
fucking rank as well.
Oh, it's horrific. It's awful. The smell. I could smell it right now, and it would take me. It would be like a time machine taking me back. But yeah, the bottles that he has of that, and then. Something I'll mention it now. Something that didn't actually dawn on me until quite near the end is that Mike Myers plays 2 people in this film. It's not a massive budget, and not at any point do they do the whole like, oh, we're the same person. Like it felt to me like there were different characters, different people in the same scene. It never stood out that that's Mike Myers there and it's Mike Myers there. Of course, they look identical, which I'll come to a bit later on with some trivia that I have. But I think they do really well having him play 2 people in the same scene without it standing out like a sore thumb. I think that was well done as a high point from me. Oh, and another thing before I forget, his dad says soccer game, which irked me the wrong way. If he was Scottish, he would be a football match. But that was a real football game they were watching, Scotland versus US. It was in 1992, and Scotland won 1-0, and Pat Nevin scored. That was an actual football game. So Scotland won a game in this film, a genuine real game. And that's my earliest high point. Does anyone else have another high point they want to hit on?
Haggis. Haggis being represented in a film. It needs to be happening more. And it looked like a good haggis as well. It didn't look shit. Yeah. Normally it's like black pudding. It's like, no, that was actually haggis. I could tell the difference.
it wasn't represented as being ghastly. Like, at one point he said, I think all Scottish cuisine is based on a dare.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, oh, it's awful. It's like, that's just a haggis. There you go.
Haggis was well represented. It was and that's literally the one scene I remember. I was like, have I seen this film? Yeah, this is the one with the haggis. And then it literally came up. I was like, this is the one. I remember the haggis.
I'm still trying to work out, is her shop a great idea? And that's why it's absolutely mobbed? Or would that shop never be that busy as that one day that she was mobbed?
I'll put it this way. I do a lot of car boots, and there's always that weird meat like thing at a car boot where it's like wild game and like Polish sausage. And they're fucking howling. Like, I like meats, but that shit just stinks. So I would like meats of the world. I think that shop would be howling.
Right, okay, yeah. And also, it seemed like she was the only person working there. Like,
exactly, it's stupid.
Especially,
how's she getting her meats in the world?
Let a stranger come in and just do stuff.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Well, yeah. I suppose she was completely swamped, and like Andy says, getting the import taxis for her one little shop somewhere in San Francisco is massive.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
How are you going to keep the meats fresh?
Yeah. My next high point I've got is the nice police captain. I like the.
Yeah, I've got Alan Arkan as well.
Alan Arkan, completely uncredited. Alan Arkan doesn't appear on the credits anywhere. He's one of a few of the other guest stars are at least listed, but he was uncredited. But yeah, just being the opposite and having Anthony LaBaglia begging him to be horrible to him. Like I thought it was a nice flipping of the norms in this film, but I very much liked it. And then when he finally gets mean, he has a real good go at it, and then he gives him like tips and all. I liked it.
I was like towards the end when is it Tony he's called? It's
Tony,
like
yeah.
rushing off to try and save Charlie. He's like, "Get back here, you spaghetti twisted Italians!" Like, oh, I'm sorry, that seems like a little bit too mean there. Was it? No, it's fine, but I'm not got time for it. Come back to it.
Yeah, I very much liked that. Any other high points?
Yeah, the tour of Alcatraz. John Vicky Johnson. I thought that was absolutely brilliant.
John Johnson, everyone calls me Vicky. It's a bit of a spoiler for later on, but yeah, we've got Phil Hartman again, who was in the Three Amigos out of nowhere. He was in this out of nowhere again. I've managed to get right in the Phil Hartman era where he was actually making films. Yes, completely irrelevant. Had to be on the tour before. Like I feel like they'd already done it.
Like they didn't give a shit.
Yeah, it's like why go on it, and why not pay attention? But yeah, the story of Machine Gun Kelly and his bitch is an all timer. Like I completely, I had no recollection of that, so I reckon I might have seen this before with that cut out. But yeah, it's a great story.
I had it before. His face when they're talking, interrupting him, he just does a slow little.
Yeah,
and he carries on.
Yeah. We don't want to interrupt that. That's his banker of a good story. Yeah. I do like the whole thing of like, not all tour guides will tell you the story, and then you're like, oh, what's this going to be? And it's just a horrific tale. It had to be kids.
Ocular cavities.
Yeah. Oh, hideous. My next one, it's a very small high point, but I very much enjoyed Charlie's explanation of the Scottish martial art of fuck you.
Yes.
Mostly headbutting and kicking people when they're on the ground. And I thought, yes. I've never heard that before, so I'm going to try and keep that one as a joke to mention at some point. I'm saving that. Any other high points?
I think all my high points could be like about the Scottish dad, because his line of
let's
get fished.
Let's get fished at the wedding, yeah.
Like, what a line. That is going to be at my wedding, by the way. That is going to get shouted at. Let's get fished.
Are you going to have a piper playing Do You Think I'm Sexy by Rod Stewart?
I totally want it out. Brilliant.
Yeah, I was gonna nominate that as worst song because it's a horrible song. Do You Think I'm Sexy? But the Piper makes such a good job of it before passing. I'm like, nah, it's an injustice to the Piper.
I'm not surprised he passed out the way he was getting it loudly.
I know. It can't be easy. Like I don't think I could get one note out of a bagpipe. Never mind what he managed to do. Any other high points, Chris? I feel like
I'm unfortunately out of high points.
Tapped out. I've got The Morning After with Rose. Where he just goes to her, you must be Ralph, and then her breakfast offer of a whole bunch of stuff, and she's only got Lucky Charms or whatever it is, or I thought it was quite funny. Which, looking back, is a good scene on my second review. Obviously, spoiler: Rose is the serial killer in the film. When she offers them all the food and all that, and you just see her serving. He goes, "Oh, that's good. The other stuff will kill you." And it's like, well, she's the killer, and she tries to kill him, which is a nice little touch on a rewatch. I enjoyed that. What's next? I liked. They mentioned that the lounge singer sings "Only You," so when Harriet starts singing "Only You" at the wedding, it was quite a good moment leading further down the route that we think she is the serial killer. Andy, have you get any other ones? Because I've got two more to mention towards the end.
I actually quite like the rooftop fight.
Me too. I've got that.
Like, yeah, that was like scene was like well done. Normally you get these kind of roof ones that look really shit. It actually worked well, except from the really fucking deaf cop.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say I like the fact that he's sitting there talking to Harriet, and all you hear is him going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy that entire scene. I just thought it was cheesy, but it was also like, like you didn't know what was going to happen. It kept me actually suspense for a bit that it would end up being a comedy.
Yeah, exactly. I've got that as well. Yeah, pretty much just got the roof at the end as well. It's not a massive high point, but it was good enough. I felt like that's satisfying enough. I've got the twist as being a high point. I couldn't remember that Rose was the killer. Didn't particularly see it coming. But I think it's helped by the fact that there's about 40 people in the film that all have about one scene each. So you're just like, I'm a plumber, she's just the sister for no reason. Like, I didn't put two together. So I thought I didn't see the twist coming. So I'll give that a high point on whatever reviews that I liked it. Is that us for high points then?
High.
It's Stuart Mackenzie is mainly the high point of the film. On to the low points then, Chris. I feel like you've saved a few in the bank here. So
Yes. This is going to be a controversial point, but I'm going to say Charlie.
He has no semblance of a Scottish accent, is what I've got. First of all,
Mike Myers is not funny when he's not playing an outlandish character.
100%. I had this conversation with Chantel. Everything about that character I fucking hate. Like slam poetry, I fucking hate.
I know.
That's literally my next bit.
I've got jazz poetry as my second. But it's like,
hate it.
That seems to be his profession,
and
his act seems to be the same thing that he does in the same place.
Chantel did ask me, it's like, what is his job? And I was like, he just does poetry. That's his thing. It's like, yeah, but he doesn't get paid for that. I was like, he probably gets like 20 quid and some drinks. Yeah, that's what his living is.
Come down, Charlie Mackenzie's here. Or is he doing that one about a woman again with the Josie and the Pussycats behind? We'll go see that. Yeah.
Like that first scene, like you go from the high from that really good song. It's slipped my mind now. There she goes. To him doing that fucking beat. It is awful.
Go on, Chris, do some slam poetry.
I'm like, fuck.
But my first thing was, Mike Myers, he based the character of the dad on his dad. So it kind of makes sense, but it's such a Scottish heavy family with Scottish weddings, Scottish parties, haggis, and that stuff. Mike Myers just sounds like a normal American person, or I guess he's Canadian. You would think like he would put you cannot grow up with two Scottish parents and not have a little bit of a Scottish accent. I would assume. Like, it worked for me certainly, but like that annoyed me. Why he's clearly first generation American. He might even have been born in Scotland and he has no Scottish accent whatsoever. But the only character where he's not crazy that I enjoy Mike Myers is him as Wayne in Wayne's World. Yeah. That's because everyone else is really zany around about him. And it's like, well, you're a bit daft, and you're a bit. And this one, he doesn't even do that. He's just kind of like, oh, that's my family. He plays it a bit straight. So, but yeah, the actual character of Charlie is not made out to be like a rom-com leading man. Hence, how I think he essentially didn't make any more, unless you want to count Austin Powers as a rom-com.
I love Guru.
I love Guru.
I see it once and I just purged it from my mind.
I was the peak Mike Myers fan. I loved everything he'd done Wayne's World through to Love Guru. And didn't mind Shrek. And then Love Guru saw it at cinema and then never saw it. Never looked at a second of it ever again. I've got a couple of another low point from anyone. I'll say.
I'm going to say the customers at the butchers. They all seemed like pricks.
I'm next. I'm next.
Like he's not doing anything. He's just standing there talking to me, and he's just like, "I'm next. I want this exactly cut to an inch. No more, no less. That's what I want." I was like, "Oh my god, this is why I hate customers."
And people are like there are people just like that guy. That's clearly you can tell that whoever wrote that scene has witnessed a person like that doing that exact thing because working in the service trade, you see people who.
But even when they do the montage, nobody has a smile. They're all just grumpy. I want my food.
Like I imagine when Andy goes into the butcher's to buy some meat, he's in a really good mood. Like,
I'm about to smoke some meats.
Well, Right, my next low point is, I feel is the biggest untied, like, loose knot in this entire film. Who was that woman that was called Ralph?
That's my next point. Is her weird sex dream about Ralph.
Oh no, I understand that's weird, and I didn't need to see it, and also very uncomfortable if you're in that situation. But that's clearly her ex-husband. That's not her pal Ralph that she's shouting about. And then a day or two later, here's Ralph, and it's like, oh, hi Ralph. Oh no, it turns out Ralph's her ex-husband. Who was that Ralph woman? Like, who was she? Like,
and why would you go down and meet her in a towel?
Yeah, exactly. Going up to her, no, like as soon as you see him in a towel, you'd be like, "Oh, I better put some clothes on," and then they would stop him and say, "No."
I don't know. I reckon that's 100% a Bly move.
God's sake.
Like, if I came downstairs and there's people in a towel, I'll be like, I'll just stay here. I won't come and give you a hug. And the off chance that my towel's going to fall down and you're going to get slapped by my weenus.
Even if he is as happy as he is to find out, oh, thank God, she's not crazy, she's not a murderer, this is actually Ralph, you would think he'd still be like, oh, I'll put some clothes on before I come and hug this stranger. But yeah, I'm still annoyed. That was the final thing that was like, okay, she's not a serial killer, that's the Ralph. And then we never had explanation who the woman was. Just annoyed me for the rest of the film. I've got one and a bit other low points. Has anyone else got any others?
I've got his mum. His mum being like a semi-rapist annoyed the hell out of me. Like,
she reads the National Enquirer or whatever it was, the newspaper I was reading. So she's already a bit mad.
I'm sure there is Scottish women out there like that, but she was a bit full on it.
And like Charlie would just stand there and just went, okay, she's just kissing my best friend too. I'll just look away and not like, get off my mum.
She doesn't seem like she belongs in the family. Like, she reads the weird newspaper. Like, her husband just seems like he likes watching football and drinking beers, and she's just wanting to go and hit on the best mate. Doesn't make any sense.
She also at the wedding in front of her husband.
Yeah, exactly. She has massively wide Scottish accent swings as well. Like,
exactly, yeah.
She's really strongly rolling R at certain points, and then she would just sound normal at other bits as well. So yeah, she might be an alien in a human costume.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention this earlier when we slightly mentioned the dad is definitely the highest high point. However, how about this for a low point in general terms? The prosthetics for Mike Myers to play the older father character took 3.5 hours to apply every day he did shooting as him. He looks the same.
You can totally tell it's him.
Like, but I mean, like, put the same wig on him, put the same glasses on him, and that's 3.5 hours saved. Like, it would not take. It should not take 3.5 hours.
That's union work for you in America. That's the problem.
Yeah, I thought that when I saw that in the trivia for this film, I thought that it's outrageous the amount of wasted time went there, and to think that they went over budget in those arguments. I wonder if it was about that. I've got one final low point, which is an all-covering, all-encompassing low point, which is it's a comedy film that's not really that funny.
Yeah.
There's maybe 4 bits where I properly laughed at, and they're all guy in the prison telling a daft story, or something silly happening, or maybe the third time the heat stuff. But the heat stuff, that's memory. I've seen the film before and I remember it happening, and it's quite funny. That's because I've watched it before and all that. But yeah, there's not many. Like, it's off to a bad start. That the coffee shop, you're like, all right, where's it going with this cup of coffee and all that? And it comes to him, and here you go. And action might be funny, and he's like, "Whoa, this is a big cup of coffee, hello," and all that stuff. And I'm like, "Oh, it's not a good start." And then like you say into the slam poetry, or okay, I don't get it anyway, and I don't know if is this what it's like, or is this a parody of slam poetry? I don't know if it's funny.
I've seen some slam poetry. I've seen some weird shit in my life. That is exactly how it's like.
Right.
I don't get it. People enjoy that shit.
And then
what I don't get is this stupid little clicking the finger thing.
Oh yeah, instead of clapping. Oh god, infuriating. But yeah, and then Harriet is not really that funny either. She doesn't really do anything too hilarious. I feel like it's well and truly it's the cameos that are the funny bits.
She started to irk me right from the wedding onwards, because they were like forcing she's the murderer, and now she's acting all shifty, and it annoyed me because like I'd worked out who the murderer is within 30 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
Which again is my next low point, is Rose. It's an awful twist. As soon as she appeared, I was like, it's her.
I wouldn't to jump into that conclusion at all. I just
this is the master of a twist, and he's seen it coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the first time I watched it, I worked it out It's when I think Charlie's at the door and she appears behind him and gives him a fright.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, she's definitely her. Because then she starts talking about, she always comes back to me. She goes all over the place, but she always comes back here. So I was like, oh, it's fucking obvious it's her.
We never really got an explanation of motive, did we?
I would love it to be Heat.
That would be a
imagine.
twist.
Helmet heats one too many times.
Yeah, yeah, snaps.
No, I think her motive was because she didn't want to take away her sister or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, but was that laid out? Did you say as much?
Kind of. Yeah, you took her away from me. I want her back.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was literally just a throwaway line, and that was the whole explanation. It was bullshit.
Oh, I did
Whereas
like...
Heat, definitely. It's got reasons.
Eventually, he's definitely, I don't know, he's definitely a school shooter at some point. I could tell. It's like the abuse he's taken. You said something there that I was going to go back to and say, and I forgot what it was. Never
I had
mind.
no idea that was Honey Bunny from Pulp Fiction, by the way.
Oh,
until she started yelling.
She plays a good crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
That was also the giveaway. But then I think Pulp Fiction would have been after this. So
Yeah, it was, I think, 1994.
Yeah,
I think 94 at least 93. Yeah. Right. I think I have for low points. Any more, Chris?
I've
You
got
got
one more, like, how from we've mentioned it a lot of times. The beat poetry or whatever it is. What an
Slam
awful
poetry.
way to end the film with
Oh.
fucking slam poem.
exactly. Yeah. And it wasn't again funny.
No, it was. I don't know, singing about fucking women again. Or
Yeah.
woman.
Woman. I'm pretty sure it's called slam poetry. I'm pretty sure.
So I've got jazz poetry, but yeah, slam poetry is a thing. I've definitely heard that term before. Or is it beat poetry? I've heard that.
Well,
as
I
well.
put beat poetry then. 'cause I'm
Slam
sure you
poetry
said beat
is a thing.
I feel like slam poetry. That sounds like it's more of a kind of rap battle with poetry. The other thing that I forgot a second ago was I enjoyed him finding his suicide note that he hadn't
Right.
written in the room with Harriet, and then the twist. Oh, it actually isn't her who wrote it; it's the actual killer. I enjoyed that as well. So yeah, your twisty smartness was way ahead of me. Andy, did you get any conclusion there, or?
Slam poetry, I think it is a thing. It's like an art form where they actually talk in a singing way.
Right. Okay.
It's pretty much what Google told me. So if any slam poets want to come and argue that case, fuck them.
It's down. He's getting an X on X Factor if he shows up and does that. I think. So, right.
Mind you, I'm gonna go in Britain's Got Talent and do that shit now.
Revival, the 2022 slam poetry. Right, on to point 4 before we're here all night. Stats. 5 shits, 3 F-bombs that I was not expecting. Charlie says
Three,
them
I
all.
only had one.
That was 3 of them. Every single one of them is Mike Myers as well. As Charlie, not even as the dad. Explosions, 0. Deaths, 4, if you count the 2 that they mentioned in the newspaper office, one of which is Ralph, and then the 2 other ex-husbands. But they're the only 4 deaths. None of them are on the screen. They're all referenced. Quotas, dead animal. The entire butcher shop is filled with dead animals, and that's where we get a cow as well, if you want to go down that route. There's possibly a goat in there, but I think goat meat's probably unlikely. Peeing. Machine Gun Kelly was definitely peed on, but there wasn't any peeing in the film. No pedos, no devils, no KKKs, because Alcatraz was empty when they were there. I wasn't sure what to count as a little bonus thing here. I thought we'd be doing Heeds after I watched the first time round, and I forgot one. So I'll do, before the first viewing, I was like, Mike Myers, he always plays more than one character. I always remembered that he played the dad. I'll count how many Mike Myerses are in the film. There's 2. So a low one there. Did they say the thing? Did they say, so I married an axe murderer?
No.
No?
Nope, they did not. It never said it. It's also, it doesn't seem to have, it's not been changed. Sometimes we do, the film was called this, and they come up with a great idea of a title. It was always called this, and not that I could find, it doesn't sound like it's a parody of anything. Or if it is, let me know if it's a parody of something, because it seems like, it seems like that's a joke title, but I don't get it, if you know what I'm saying. Like, it must be a parody of something. So let us know. Send us an email or a tweet. Any stats from you, Chris?
Yeah. It takes 5 people to make 1 cup of coffee. The person carrying it, the dishwasher, somebody to dry it, then somebody to pour in 2 cups into 1 cup, and then the person to take it away again. That's ridiculous.
It also felt like in that sequence, you walk into the coffee shop and there's bits where you can sit. Then you go to the middle and you're kind of like, I don't know, back of house.
Yeah.
And then you go beyond that and there's more. So it feels like half the people have to walk through the kitchen to get to where they were sitting at the back, which is also where the stage was, which it felt like I was kind of lost. I was like, is this someone waiting for coffee or a waitress? Because the person was making it in front of them.
It seemed far too busy for like 3 people just to make coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Wasted manpower.
I counted how many times Charlie says hello. I was going to do the hello, but he only does that like 3 times. But then when the phone goes out, he's like hello, 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 like 4 times each. So in total, he does it 12 times.
Hellos in an hour and a
Yes.
half. Not too much.
And there is, I'm not counting the one where he slides down the stairs, but there's one nut shot again.
Hey, nut shots.
And there's also the rarely seen cunt-punt at least once.
For God's sake. I thought, it's got to come up with a quippy name here. I don't know.
That's my favourite quote of the day.
There we go. I mean,
to be fair, it never affected her. You think getting kicked there would hurt quite a bit.
I think it did. I think it knocked her back. Like, I think she sold it. Put it this way, I think.
If you've ever been punted, email it. Let us know.
Okay, send us a tweet or whatever. Is that you, Chris? Is that your stats?
That's me.
Andy, did you see a most pornographic scene in the film?
Aye, I've already mentioned it. Haggis. Like, just the mention of haggis just gets me going. It's like,
Yeah, it doesn't get represented enough in films.
I know, it needs to be represented more, haggis.
Good, okay, on to 10.5 on the 10-point podcast. That is the quiz. Andy is
ready.
Andy is the quiz master.
I'm pissed, by the way. I'm fucking hammered.
I've not noticed this. You've like been just guzzling back beer like constantly.
I'm on my 6th.
I think I'm losing in the quiz season-wise. This is the 4th quiz. I think Chris is at least 2-1 up, maybe 3-0 up. So
I'm not counting that travesty from like last week.
Oh, no, was there a draw? Yeah, there was a draw, wasn't there? So
you considered it as a draw, but he's like, I'm like 5-1 up. Okay, you get 5 points if you get this one right.
Right. Anyway,
I got it right. On you go, Andy.
Right. I was originally going to do this in slam poetry style, but I decided, no, fuck that shit. So I've decided to call this one "There's Been a Murder."
Right. Okay.
Right. So basically, I'm going to give you like some information. You got to tell me the clue so that we can work out who the axe murderer was.
Right.
It's more over elaborate than it sounds because basically it's just questions about the film.
Right. Okay.
So who wants to go first?
I don't know. Bruce can go first.
I'll go first. Yeah.
Right, Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
You found the receipt. The purchase is haggis. How much was the haggis?
All right. I remember thinking it was cheap. Am I looking for the exact value here?
Exact value. No points for thingy, and will get passed over as well.
I think it was. Was it like $12.50 or something like that? Wrong,
Chris.
I want to say $19.75.
That is exactly it.
Yes!
What a shout!
I'm not having this.
What a fucking shout! Right, Chris. I can't believe you got that. Right. You've overheard a conversation with the mum referring to Tony. What does she refer him as?
Oh, I don't know. Cutie pie or something like that. I really grew. Oh, fuck, I can't mind.
That is wrong. Bruce.
So I'm thinking, Chris, it's what nickname does the mum have for Tony is what I think the question is. Is that how you read it?
Yeah, that's how I read it, but I got the wrong nickname.
Darlin.
No. He's a wee sexy bastard. There's him. Right, Bruce. So, you've heard.
So
it's because it's an axe murderer.
Well, I married an axe murderer, yeah.
So, you've heard the dad's been part of a martial art in Scotland. What is the name of the martial art?
Fuck.
Correct. That is the correct one. So, Chris. It'll be this.
Laughing already.
It's an easy one. It's an easy one. What is the name of Harriet's sister?
Rose.
Correct.
So my first question was, how much was the haggis? What is the name of the whole person in the film?
So,
this
is how I think all detectives start.
Yeah.
You found the receipt of the haggis.
But
what was at the top of the haggis, i.e., what is the name of the shop?
Meats of the World.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Chris.
too, but Mike.
You're in the lounge.
Oh,
and there's a singer. So. What?
You never said so.
So,
So?
you're in the lounge, and there's a singer. Larry is known for what? What song is he's singing?
Oh, right, okay. One
He's
before.
listening
Only
to a
You.
song.
Oh,
Correct.
no. Okay, right.
He's got it. Right. Bruce.
Mhm.
So, from a previous dead body case, where was Ralph's body found?
Oh, where was he found? So he was the one who was in San Francisco. Did they find him in the sewers?
Correct. He
Hey.
did find him.
I was going Atlantic City. I was well off for that one.
No, Ralph was third. He was the most recent.
Right. So, Chris, you're investigating Tony, and you found out his job title is what?
So he's a detective inspector.
Technically wrong. I'm passing it over to Bruce.
Technically wrong. Is he just a detective?
Oh, you went the other way. He's just an inspector.
Oh, sure. Is it? All right. Okay.
Right.
I would be furious if you gave him
I
that.
have no idea what the scores are, but I've got a couple more left.
It's 3-3 by my count.
Right. Here we go. So is it Bruce now?
Yeah, we've got one question more. We've got even number to go.
Aye. Right. So, the name of the bar the parents visit for their 30th anniversary was.
Oh. Oh.
I've got
What's
it.
it? You got it?
I've got it.
He's got it. You need to get it, Bruce.
Yeah.
Or you're fucked.
Is it like? Oh, is it something like that?
Gonna have to hurry you.
Oh, like the tartan kilt or something like that.
Wrong, Chris.
Talk of the North.
Cock of the North.
Oh, that's what it was. Damn it!
Right, if Chris gets this right, you're fucked.
I already am. Oh no, I am. Yeah, of course I.
You can win this, right? Chris. So, you followed them to the honeymoon suite. But what is the name of the honeymoon suite?
The Abbey Burns Street.
Wrong. I'm going to give it to Bruce because I want the proper full title.
He said Robbie Burns. Now, the guy on the counter said Robbie Burns. So is it the Robert Burns honeymoon suite or something like that?
It's close enough. I'll give you. It is the Robert Burns suite.
Oh, just the Robert Burns suite. Okay.
I thought you said the Abbey Burns Street. Okay.
It does say it, but on the actual thing, it says the Robert
The
Burns
sign
suite.
says Robert, and the guy on the counter said Robbie. So that's 4-4, Andy.
4-4. Tiebreaker time.
Right. Okay.
How many people are performing outside Harriet's window? I'm going to give it to Bruce first.
Oh, I'm just gonna get it right then. How many people are performing outside the window? I'm gonna say there's 4 of them.
You're going for 4. What is Chris going?
5.
You're going 5. The correct answer is it's 4. Bruce.
Oh yes.
There we go. So Bruce solves the murder.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm saying I'm shenaniganized again.
Why did you get shenaniganized?
You did say Robbie, and it was Robert. So
I went with what the guy said. I thought he called it the Abbey Burns Street.
he said Robbie. To be honest,
He did say Robbie as well.
He's American. Yeah. Okay. That was a good quiz, Andy. Not just because I won. But
I know.
Do you know what? I made a list of every picture that was on that wall because I thought at least one of them would come up.
yeah, I've got a few in the back as well. Who was up there? Jackie Stewart and all that. Sean Connery. Although Chris definitely had the answer of the round, which was that Haggis.
That Haggis question. Fucking hell.
Do you know that?
I went through 3 of them. It was like 1925, 1950, or 1975, and I went for the most expensive one because I remember it was quite expensive.
I remember it being expensive, but I thought it was quite expensive. I could remember.
That's a lot for Haggis.
I remember it being
I pay £1.50 a can max.
Well, that's
Canned haggis is rank.
It's both good and bad for her business practice. Either she has one haggis and could sell it for a lot, or she had to spend so much getting it in the country that she had to charge. Right, cracking on. Point 6, movies and movies. Parodies and references that I noted There's loads of them. So a bunch of these are what I noticed, and a bunch of ones I've just taken on the internet with no explanation. So I've done TV a lot here. So Starsky and Hutch, Serpico, Barney Miller, Alien, Friday the 13th, Dracula, The Flintstones, The Birdman of Alcatraz, The Jetsons, and Josie and the Pussycats. A lot of that was his beat slam jazz poetry he was doing. But yeah, there's probably a few other in there that I missed, and maybe the title as well. Never Not Good. This is one of the hardest Never Not Goods because nothing is outstandingly good in this film that is good in everything. So I've kind of gone with star comedians doing one scene cameos is usually good. It's not quite never not good, but having...
Oh yeah, so it's not been mentioned. The guy from Beethoven. He wouldn't let him commandeer's car. That was quite a good one.
Yeah, he was a good one as well. Nope, you're not having it.
He's just so deadpan.
Yeah, he's so good. Yeah, and I've forgotten he was the guy from Beethoven as well. When I checked who he was, if we'd done him before, I was like, oh yeah, he's the guy in Beethoven. Yeah, Charles Grodin. He passed away last year, I believe. It was quite a recent one. Indeed. Chris, TPB Universe, etc. What have you got for?
I'm probably miles off, but the only person I got was Phil Hartman. He was in Three Amigos.
That's the only one. Although in my deep digging, I found out
Please tell me
that
Burbs is in it.
no Burbs. We've not done the film before. However, the police records officer, the policewoman who briefly chats in the police station when they're there, is an actress who only goes as Linnell now, but her whole name is Linnell Campbell. She played the prostitute that Borat took to the party in the first Borat film.
No way!
And she's got like a massive CV of things. Like, I thought that she was just some random person that they'd hired to play the role in the film. But she's in everything. Like, she's got a massive thing. And it's like, I know that face. What do I know her from? And I found it was Borat. It was what she's the one. She wears the cowboy hat, and then he goes back to her later on in the film and all that. I think she's even in the second one. Does the sister, the daughter, go and see her or something like that? But yeah, just Phil Hartman. It felt like there had to be another one somewhere, but I feel like we might return. This could come up a lot in the future. This could be a new Burbs possibly. Did you recast this, Chris?
I did. Andy is obviously Stuart, Charlie's dad. I put you as Charlie, and I put myself as Tony.
I went background character route this time. I just thought, rather than being the main one, so I thought we could replace the star comedians and we could have our own cameos. So Andy is the commandeer driver. He could be Charles Grodin and not giving up his car, because I feel like that's exactly how Andy would be in that situation. Nope. Got it. I'm like, I'll be the pilot because I quite enjoyed Steve Wright being the pilot.
Oh, I forgot he was that.
And Chris, you could be John Vicky Johnson at the
yeah, after that one.
Like that one. Andy, any movies from you?
See, this is a hard one because I really just want to replace Mike Myers with other characters. So, like his dad, I just want him to be actual fat bastard.
See, I would have kept his dad as Stuart and made him fat bastard. So yeah, Scottish accent.
But yeah, and then just like have like Mike Myers as like Wayne from Wayne's World. So because then I would like him a bit better, and it'd just be a bit better because he's a bit dopey and stuff like that.
You never actually see Wayne's parents in the Wayne's World movies, so it could just have been,
yeah. That's why I just the tweak to make the film just that bit better.
Not bad. We'll take it. On to point 7. I believe it's still Chris's Would You Rather. Is it still Would You Rather, Chris?
It is. Yeah. Do you know what? The film did my job for me.
It did.
So, same question. Well, I've kind of tweaked it a little bit. So, would you rather find a used plaster under? I've just generalized it as food because it doesn't have to just be a steak. Or be electrocuted.
Be electrocuted, yeah. Well, I think it's an obvious answer, but on you go, Andy.
I've been electrocuted so many times by that fucking workplace, so I'll just take electrocution.
Oh, yeah. The other way around is it didn't say you had to eat the food, you just find the thing. So
I was thinking, you get free food.
Because I would be well sad if I was eating something and I found a plaster, I'd be like, I've eaten some of that.
Right.
And now I don't want to eat that. So I would rather not be disappointed, I'll just get electrocuted.
Low level electrocution is okay, I suppose.
Aye.
So take that.
No, I don't have a taser. Fuck that shit.
There was another one as well, Chris, because that's the only one
I can't remember what it was. You're stuck in like the Bay Bridge or something like that, and you've had like 3 cups of coffee and and you're practically about to shit yourself. I thought, I've done a crap one already. So. I can't remember what the other guy said though.
Yeah, I can't remember the other one. Or I can't remember what that was, but yeah, I thought it was funny that randomly this film had a Would You Rather in it. Very good. On to point 8, our nominations for the Pointy Awards at the end of the season. I'll lead off because I've got quite a few. Wendy Pops. Best song, I'm open to debate. Is it There She Goes, or is it Played the
There She Goes?
Two Princes?
There She Goes.
There She Goes, take that. Best fight, Charlie versus Rose. Best hair, I've gone for Heed. Best special effects, I've gone for there being two Mike Myerses and it not really standing out that there's two Mike Myerses. I thought that was well enough done. Best cop, I think Tony's pretty good. Like, he wants to be a good cop, but I enjoyed the Chief so much that I'd maybe co-nominate him. So are we going Chief then?
I put the Chief because he's wanting to learn. He wants to be getting better.
Plus, Tony did not hear the fucking roof action.
Of course, yeah, that let him down. In the final moments, it let him down. I've got best Twiz as Rose being the killer. I feel like Chris might argue. Worst accent is none of the main cast. It's the minister at their wedding. Awful Scottish accent. I don't know why he's Scottish either. And it's like, at one point, they're like, oh, with both of you say I do, but for some reason he pronounces it. If you both say adieu.
Yeah, I heard it as a Jew.
A Jew. A Jew here.
It's like, it's just a bizarre. It's like, I don't know why they just didn't have an American minister at the wedding. I've got worst costume. I've got Tony's Huggy Bear costume at the beginning. For a gag, like it was like I don't know why I did that. Most unexpected is a tough one. I've got Phil Hartman again, like out of nowhere, or Kramer, who is in one scene, Michael Richards in the police, the newspaper office, or Stephen Wright as the pilot in the plane. Phil Hartman was the one that stood out the most. Then our A+++ awards. The best line is anything involving Heed. They were good. I enjoyed the shots there, but nailed on first in the betting to win it this year. Michael Pena, the Machine Gun Kelly and the bitch story. Might be a front runner to win one of the awards. Andy, any other nominations from you?
I'm going to change best line for "Let's Get Pished."
Okay,
because that has a line and a half. Best character name, Heed. That's brilliant. He's called Heed.
His name was William, if I remember rightly.
It's Heed.
I thought that was coming up in the quiz as well. I remembered both of them.
Yeah.
Because I knew he would say, I'd say, what's his name? I'd say Heed. No, it's William. So I was going to say both of them to get the right answer.
Best Scottish representation, Haggis.
Another new award.
A whole new thing he's just for
the awards.
Best Scottish representation.
Best Scottish representation. Okay.
Haggis in a meat shop. That's there.
Representation. Any other nominations, Andrew?
That's all I've got.
Chris.
I've gone for best supporting as Phil Hartman.
Supporting.
Yeah.
His one scene that he had.
Yeah, exactly. Well, most as like unexpected. I couldn't remember what the thing was called, so I put it as supporting because he's not actually
oil and all that. But yeah,
it's most unexpected.
I think it was unexpected. Best unexpected.
That was about it. I think you've nailed all the rest of them. No, Worst Twist was Rose the Killer.
Yeah, I thought you might go for that, right? So that might negate her from being eligible for voting now.
Both of them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there were some people have had both famously in the past, but we'll see what the panel thinks when it comes to nomination time. Speaking of, before I forget, I mentioned to the guys in our WhatsApp chat, Free Guy got an Oscar nomination. Andy's movie of the year. Finally, there you go. There's certified good film. It got an Oscar nomination.
Aye.
And this news story being Ridley Scott got fewer Oscar nominations than Marvel did after his big tirade against how bad Marvel movies are and how everybody likes them is stupid. Anyway, on to point 9. Moral of the story. What I thought the lesson to be learned from the film was. What I thought the point.
I've got it.
There you go, Andy.
Let's get pished.
Right, okay. That's not what I thought you were going to say. Is Chris going to say what I thought he was going to say?
Beat poetry is shit.
Oh, neither of you have said what I thought you were going to say. So my one was, it's always the quiet ones, because I got caught out. But I thought you were definitely nailed on Bitches Be Crazy again. Like,
I could do it.
Very good morals of the story. On to the 10-point rating, where we rate the movie out of 10 on the 10th point. I picked it, so I'll go first. I like it. It has its moments, but it's not really that funny. Some memorable bits, like I might now never forget the Machine Gun Kelly story and other bits, the Heed stuff and all that. And the mystery's okay. Like I was kind of okay. How is it not her? And it has developments, but because I quite like it, and there's nothing bad. It's a very rare film that I've got quite a lot of high points, very few low points. But I'm still only just going to give it a 5 because I think it's all right. It's not funny. It didn't offend me at all.
I'm not a million miles off, so I'm going with you. But I'm giving it a 4.
Yeah, I was like, it's either a 4 or a 5. But then my second watch was, I quite like bits. And Chris, what about you?
I didn't find it funny at all, really. Like Mike Myers, like I said before, isn't funny when he's not playing like an over-the-top character. Like, well, he did Stuart. That's the only thing good about it. I found the murder obvious. I knew it was Rose pretty early on, and the beat poetry just fucking tanked it for me big time.
That's why I gave it a 4. I was close to 5, but yeah, beat poetry. Fucking hell, slam poetry.
A comedian, like a stand-up.
Oh yeah, if it was him doing stand-up instead of beat poetry, it would have been completely different.
Yeah.
Oh man,
as long as it was funny.
Yeah, exactly. But for me, it's lucky to get a 3.
Okay, to get 3. So we're not too far apart on it. It's averaged out of 4 anyway. That's the official rating is a 4 out of 10, which I think is probably fair. I like it, so therefore I'm going to rate it naturally higher. But when I finished watching, I wrote down, usually I write down my score, I wrote 4/5. I'll see how I feel.
Yeah, I did a new like marking system for myself, because I always just kind of sit and watch it going, that's about a 6. That's about a 7. But I actually weighed up the pros and the cons, like the highs and the lows.
Yeah.
He's changed his whole fucking thing after like 4 seasons.
What were there, 80 episodes?
So I was just picking random numbers. Going,
He's like, I score everything way too high. I've got to come up with a system here.
I do, and I've got a system. It's fair. I don't like the film. I got a 3.
There we go. That's all we can ask of you. Right then, before we go on to next time,
Chris cuts off.
Before Chris disappears early.
This was exactly the point where he cut off. He was trying to guess my theme.
Do you have any guesses for Andy's theme, Chris, from last week?
I can't remember what his pick was.
I've got to say what films
Blues
Well, I picked Blues Brothers, but my like theme is obviously in the Blues Brothers. However, it did relate to every other film. This film does not relate to this film.
Okay, so it's not Saturday Night Live then. Okay, so
I was gonna say, okay, I don't know, Relatives or something. Blues Brothers.
Not Relatives, no.
Right, okay. On to my one then. Any guess? Any early guesses?
I have nailed your one 110%.
I'm ready.
Confident.
I'm ready.
I'm gonna let Chris go because I'm so confident I've got it right.
Any guesses, Chris?
I'm gonna say something to do with just weddings or nuptials.
It is not weddings.
Right, I've got it.
Okay.
110%.
Okay.
Scottish.
It is Scotland. Scotland.
Yeah, boy.
My link. It's going to be a link rather than my theme, as it were. But I'm going to link all 5 of my picks together. It's going to be Scotland, and then I thought that I had an idea for what my last pick is going to be. And it's going to be the 100th episode. So I thought, right.
To be fair, it's only because I know what your 100th episode pick is.
Yeah, exactly.
I worked this out, so I did have a little bit of cheating in it.
No, that's all right. No, I fully anticipated.
And bear in mind, Chris doesn't know what your 100th episode pick is, but we discussed this back in season 1 what the 100th episode would be. So
yeah, I often thought.
And Chris somehow is still not fucked it up, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, he might have picked it at some point. Yeah, yeah. So my 5.
I could have a guess what it is now.
Linked to Scotland as we go through, and trust me, they're not all. This is not at all based in Scotland, and some of them are, and some of them aren't even either. So it's a link rather than a theme. On to next time then, and next time is Chrissy's pick. Which is
he's fucked it. He is fucked it. He's forgot.
I might just pick the one that I think Bruce might pick. Just ruin the whole thing for you.
Just start picking Scottish to spoil.
This film's kind of came out of nowhere. It's a film I've not seen before. So I've gone back to that one, but I think it ties into the theme. I have gone.
Goes badly.
What, your theme or his theme?
My theme.
Right, okay.
I've gone for Ex Machina.
Ah, okay, right.
All right.
Seen that, yeah. Cool.
Never seen it. I thought I'd give it a go.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything for you, but yes, I've seen it before. It's certainly worth our time. I think. I think I remember it being interesting enough. So I forget what year it's from, but it's more recent. It's a newer option.
I know. All the films would be like 80s or 90s, so I thought I need to give something a bit of a
bit of a modern edge.
Example.
That's good because I don't think many of my Scottish ones are very modern. So, that's quite good. Okay, there we go then. Ex Machina, I think is how you pronounce it. Everyone's got now 7 days to find Ex Machina and give it a watch. And we'll see you next time on the 10 Point Podcast.